Republic clone troopers were specifically bred and trained to be the finest army the galaxy had ever seen. Due to the genetic enhancements and literal lifetime combat training, the standard clone trooper was far better equipped for battle than nearly any other humanoid soldier. And although the standard clone was quite formidable, there were divisions of them who were trained for scenarios well beyond what even regular clones could handle, as well as those trusted with equipment that gave them the power to single-handedly wipe out small armies. When it comes to clones given the strongest suits of armor available, that goes to the Blaze Troopers. Clone Blaze Troopers were outfitted with what was likely the strongest suit of armor available at the time, which was capable of tanking even direct lightsaber strikes for a short period. The armor made them invulnerable to nearly all standard blaster fire, and because of this, Blaze Troopers were typically thrown head-on into heavy enemy fortifications in order to disrupt their defenses as a means to allow regular Republic forces to easily move in. Their jetpacks allowed them to quickly penetrate enemy fortifications, and their wrist-mounted flamethrowers gave them the ability to cause as much chaotic damage needed to have the enemy disperse from their defensive positions. If the flamethrowers proved to be ineffective, Blaze Troopers were known to pummel their enemies using their large arms, and in some cases, even body slam their foes to death using their gigantic bodies. A drawback that they faced was that their massive size made them easy targets to artillery fire and anti-vehicle gunnery, which could penetrate their armor given enough direct hits. While Blaze Troopers likely are the most powerful in terms of being able to deal out the most damage to large groups, they are far from the best trained clones. That goes to the Null-class Advanced Recon Commandos. They were the first clones of the Jango Fett DNA ever fully produced, but due to their high independent thought and natural violent tendencies, they were slated for termination by the Kaminoans, who likely viewed them to be too dangerous to control and mass produce. But their death sentences were stopped by one of the Mandalorian instructors. The Null-class clones had some of the most experimental and extreme genetic modifications placed in them, and they were initially created by the Kaminoans just to see how far they could enhance a human's abilities without really caring whether or not they would be compliant to orders. As a result, this gave them a physical advantage over all future clones who had far less extreme physical modifications in favor of having them be more loyal and obedient to their superiors. On top of this, the 6 Null-class clones were personally trained by the Mandalorian instructor Kal Skirata, who pushed them to the absolute extremes in every regard. From near-death training torture scenarios to practicing using live ammunition rather than simulations, the Null-class clones experienced an entirely different level of training compared to the rest. They were also given training in assassination, covert ops, slicing, zero-gravity maneuvering, and even medical applications under extreme conditions. By the end of it, they were regarded as one-man armies. Although they excelled in every operation they were assigned to during the Clone Wars, all the Null-class clones ultimately ended up deserting the army, as their true loyalties laid with Kal Skirata, whom adopted them and welcomed them to his Mandalorian clan. Next are the Alpha-class Advanced Recon Commandos. They were the successors of the Null-class troopers, and were regarded as the more refined version by the Kaminoans. Only 100 of these clones were created, and they were all personally trained by Jango Fett. While they were more intelligent and independent than the average clone, they were only second compared to the Null-class clones, who had far more intensive training and greater genetic enhancements. Despite this, the Alpha-class clones were the preferred unit in the military, as they demonstrated far greater loyalty and obedience to their Jedi superiors, who trusted them with more risky tasks as a result. Next are the regular Republic Commandos. These guys were handpicked by Jango Fett from the regular clone gene pools that scored exceptionally well in their tests. They were given specialized training for missions that would involve covert ops, sabotage, infiltration, and assassination. They were given advanced armor that better suited them for their personalized missions, and they often worked in small squads of 4. And they were also known to work alongside both Null and Alpha-class Recon Commandos during critical missions. Unlike the Null and Alpha-class clones, however, Republic Commandos tended to be specialized across all fields as a group, rather than as individuals, meaning only 1 or 2 commandos specialized in slicing, while the other squad mate specialized in long-distance marksmanship, compared to a Null-class trooper who would have specialized in both, among all other essential fields. We then have clone assassins. While these guys are not nearly as powerful as the previous clones in most scenarios, they were unique in that they were completely specialized in close quarters combat, so effectively that they were even able to contend with most Jedi, which makes sense as that was their whole secret purpose, to kill Jedi. They were purposely genetically modified to be super quick and to be able to react as if they had the Force. They also were trained to resist mind tricks. Many of them were trained by Jedi Padawans and Knights, only to have them eventually put that training to the test by hunting their fellow Jedi teachers once Palpatine issued Order 66. Finally, we have the X1 and X2 clone brothers. While these guys weren't Jango Fett clones, as they were instead created from the DNA of Jedi Knight Falcon Gray, they did serve as on-the-ground troopers for the Republic during the Clone Wars. Due to their Force sensitivity, they were able to react quicker than most of the other clones, and were able to develop Force powers that gave them an advantage in combat over any other trooper. As a bonus for this video, we also have Clone Force 99. While these clones only appeared in canon sources, they are quite unique in their own regard for being a clone force that used their mutations as an advantage. Not only did these apparent genetic mutations give them physical attributes, such as increased strength and speed, it also made them physically appear different from regular clones, which gave them an edge when it came to undercover missions. They were trusted to serve the Republic on their own without constant oversight, and as a result were known to go about on their missions without answering high command for long periods of time. And as a fun fact, they named their squad as a tribute to the deformed clone 99, whom they were apparently friends with prior to his sacrifice. Thanks for watching this video. Help support the channel by becoming a member on our Patreon page, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, may the Force be with you.